This thing with South Africa has been going on for a long time. Did you know that an armed robber unalived Lucky Dube thinking he was a Nigerian?
On October 18, 2007, Lucky Dube was shot dead by the carjackers in Rosettenville, a Johannesburg suburb, shortly after dropping 2 of his 7 children off at their uncle's house. Dube was driving his Chrysler 300C, which the assailants were after. About an hour after they pumped 2 bullets into Lucky Dube, the alleged killers, Sifiso Mlanga, Julius Gzoa, and Beauty Mabe, returned to where the reggae superstar lay dead to see if any of the bystanders recognized them. This was the chilling evidence of a state witness, who also revealed that the men on trial for the murder didn't recognize Lucky Dube and thought he was a Nigerian. Lucky's death sent shockwaves around the world.
This is the tragic story of how an armed robber unalived Lucky Dube, the reggae icon. The big Lucky Dube, thinking he was a Nigerian. They didn't know he was the reggae icon Lucky Dube. They saw a target. Later they said they thought he was Nigerian. That's how ignorance and crime collide with deadly consequences. You know, sometimes life doesn't just break your heart. It makes you question humanity itself. Let's talk about this painful story. A man, a global voice, a symbol of unity, gone just like that. Not because of war, not because of politics, not even because he was targeted as a celebrity, but because of ignorance, crime, and something even deeper, misplaced hate. That night, Lucky Dube was just a man in his car, driving, living, existing like any other human being. Then armed robbers approached him. They didn't know who he was. They didn't see the legend. They didn't hear his voice that has preached peace all over Africa and the world. All they saw was a target. And according to reports from the accused, they thought he was Nigerian. Let that sink in for a moment. Not even based on anything real, just assumption, just identity, just a label in their minds. And in that split second, a life was taken. Now, let's be honest with ourselves. Was it just robbery? Yes, it was. But is that the full story? No. Because when you hear something like that, it exposes something uncomfortable. The level of division we still carry as Africans, the stereotypes, the quick judgments, the quiet resentment some people hold against others just because of where they are from. And here is the painful irony. This was a man whose music spoke against oppression. A man who used reggae, the same spirit as Bob Marley, to preach unity, love, and awareness. Yet he became a victim of the very ignorance he stood against. But let me challenge you a bit. If they knew he was Lucky Dube, would it have changed anything? Maybe. Maybe not. Because at the root of this is something deeper than nationality. It's a mindset. A mindset where human life becomes cheap. Where anger, frustration, and crime override empathy. Where identity becomes a trigger instead of a bridge. And here's where the real essence is. Hate doesn't need accuracy. It doesn't need facts. It just needs a target. Today he's Nigerian. Tomorrow he's from this tribe. Next, he doesn't belong here. And before you know it, we are destroying ourselves from within. So what do we do with a story like this? We don't just shake our heads and move on. We reflect. We ask ourselves, have I ever judged someone based on where they are from? Have I laughed at stereotypes that dehumanize others? Have I contributed, even in small ways, to division? Because big tragedies often grow from small tolerated mindsets. And let me say this clearly, Africa cannot move forward if Africans are suspicious of Africans. No amount of talent, resources, or potential will fix that. We will keep losing good people. Maybe not always to bullets, but to division, mistrust, and unnecessary hate. Lucky Dube's death was a robbery, but the lesson is bigger than crime. It's about who we are becoming. So I will leave you with this. If a man who preached unity could die because of identity and assumption, what does that say about the rest of us? And more importantly, what are we going to do differently? Peace.